Please be seated.
Good afternoon, Your Honors. This is the case number IT 95-5/18 PT, the prosecutor versus Radovan Karadžić.
We sit as a bench rather than as an individual pre-trial judge today because in the course of the morning we received an application or motion from the accused which does have a bearing on the purpose of today's hearing, which is a further appearance. The first two things I am required to do, however, in connection with a further appearance I shall deal with before moving on to deal with the motion. Mr. Karadžić, can you confirm to me that you again appear and represent yourself?
Yes.
And that you are fully aware of your right to be represented by counsel, and I raise the question that way because of the provisions of Rule 62. You are fully aware, are you, of your right to have counsel if you so wish?
Yes, I'm fully aware of that, and I'm also aware of my right to represent myself, and that has been my decision.
Thank you very much. It's plain from the exchange we have just had that you are able to hear the proceedings in a language which you understand, and therefore another of the requirements I am asked to be satisfied about is in fact satisfied. Only two of the pre-trial bench are here because this matter was raised at very short notice this morning, and Judge Picard, the third member of the bench, is committed to the trial of Perisic this afternoon and sits there, so we shall proceed without her. The motion which was made was an application for certification to appeal decisions on extension of time and for reconsideration of the motion to amend the indictment. The trial chamber in its full composition met this morning to deal with that motion, and we have decided to deny it. We have denied the first part, that's the application for certification to appeal, because no basis has been stated on which, in the opinion of the trial chamber, success in the appeal could significantly affect the fair and expeditious conduct of the trial, and because the issue is not one on which an immediate determination by the appeals chamber may materially advance the proceedings. It follows from the decision to deny the first part of this application that the second part, that's for reconsideration of the motion to amend, must also be denied because there is no basis for reconsideration of that motion to amend the indictment. That motion having been disposed of, Mr. Karadžić, I now proceed to deal with the question of the indictment. The third amended indictment was filed at the end of last week in both English and BCS. It's now for you to enter pleas on that indictment, and as the chamber indicated before, you will be called upon to plead in relation to each of the counts of the indictment. It is your right to have the indictment read to you, but you may equally waive that right and we can proceed straight to the question of the pleas. Do you wish to have it read, or do you waive the right to have it read?
I do not wish to have anyone else read the indictment to me. However, in relation to the previous question, I wanted to say a single sentence. Actually, this is the third time already that I have been denied the right to respond. This decision was given to me a day after the deadline expired. I'm afraid that we're falling into a pattern now, in addition to a multitude of other difficulties that are leading this proceeding along a completely wrong track. So this is the third time that this has happened. Ultimately, my time is being cut short. I did not ask for more than 14 days. I asked for what belongs to me. I still don't have a team of my own, through no fault of my own. I still don't have the right conditions for preparing my defense.
These matters were all raised in the application you made and were given consideration by the bench before the decision was made. We will now proceed to deal with the indictment, and for that purpose I must ask you please to stand. I will go through the charges one by one. The first count is a count of genocide, punishable under Articles 4.3a and 7.1 and 7.3 of the statute. Do you plead guilty or not guilty?
I have a general position in relation to the entire indictment. Regardless of all the other reasons that I will cite in terms of challenging the jurisdiction of this tribunal, I'm doing that today. I'm challenging it on the basis of my agreement with the international community, whose representative at that point in time was Mr. Richard Holbrooke. May I be allowed to quote a Serbian poet who said, "My case becomes the case of the entire world." I'm defending a principle here, that wars cannot be concluded and peace agreements cannot be signed by deceit, and that one cannot play games with entire regions and even with the world as a whole. I am abiding...
Mr. Karadžić, I have cut you off because you are not directing your submissions to the issue which is before the court. I shall ask you again in relation to the first charge of genocide whether you plead guilty or not guilty.
I'm not going to enter a plea at all for the reasons that I mentioned. This tribunal does not have the right to try me.
Thank you very much. As you know, you will have the opportunity to deal with that issue in due course. You have an appeal outstanding which touches upon it. You have made submissions, I understand, to the appeals chamber, which is dealing with the matter. And therefore the issue is one that is being given consideration. It's not for this bench today to deal with that. So just for the avoidance of any doubt, is it your clear position that for whatever reason you do not intend to state whether you plead guilty or not guilty to the charges on the indictment?
Dobro ste interpretirali.
You interpreted that properly, yes.
Very well. I shall enter pleas of not guilty on all 11 charges on your behalf and instruct the registrar to appoint a trial at an appropriate date. That completes today's proceedings. The court is now adjourned.